The wind had no mercy that night. It howled across the endless plains, dragging sheets of cold mist that bit through the thin furs of those who huddled together beneath a rocky overhang. The tribe, 13 souls, their faces hidden beneath dirt and fear, pressed close, waiting for the dawn that refused to come. Among them was one, younger than most, quiet but always watching. Their eyes followed the sky, tracing the way clouds moved like beasts over the moon. They had no name that echoed in history, but their curiosity burned brighter than hunger. The cold gnawed at bones, but worse than cold was darkness. The night belonged to the beasts, the saber-toothed ones that stalked the edges of the lightless plain, their low growls carried by the wind. The tribe shivered together, clutching stones and sticks that would do little if the hunters came. That was life before fire. Days bled into each other, marked only by the rising and falling of the sun, by the endless search for warmth and meat. The young one learned to strike stones together for sound, not for light. The elders had long forbidden wasting time on such things. Sound did not fill the belly. But one morning, as the sky cracked open with thunder and the world trembled, the young one's eyes caught something that changed everything. Lightning tore across the horizon and slammed into a far-off tree. For a moment, the plains were alive with light, an explosion of gold, heat, and movement. The tree burned like the sun had fallen to earth. The others screamed and hid their faces. The young one did not. They stared. Rain poured soon after, and the glow faded. But something deep inside stayed alive. A thought, a question. Could that power be called again? For days, the image of the burning tree haunted their dreams. They began to wander farther from the group, collecting stones, dark ones that sparked when struck. They remembered the way the lightning had come from the sky, but perhaps there was a way to bring the sky to earth by hand. The elders saw the obsession and grew uneasy. They had seen curiosity before. It often led to pain. But the young one continued, hidden behind a rise of stone, clacking rocks together again and again until hands bled. Then one afternoon, a spark leapt, tiny, brief and gone before breath could catch it. But it was real. They froze. The world had changed in that heartbeat. The spark had been small, yet it carried the same light as the lightning, the same secret. The young one began gathering dry grass and dead leaves, arranging them like a nest. Another strike, another and another. The sparks came more often now, biting at the air. Smoke rose, thin at first, then thicker. And then it happened. A small flame flickered to life, trembling like a living creature. It danced, golden and alive, feeding on the air and the dry leaves. The young one stared, afraid to move, afraid it might vanish. The warmth brushed against their face, gentle yet fierce. It was unlike anything they had ever known, like holding a piece of the sun. The sound drew the others. Footsteps pounded. The tribe stood in a circle, eyes wide with terror. One elder raised a stone to crush the thing, but the young one stepped between them, shaking their head. They extended a hand toward the flame, feeling its breath. The others watched as it did not bite, did not harm, unless provoked. They fed it a twig, and it grew. The elder lowered their stone. Night fell again, but this time the tribe did not hide in darkness. The flame lit their faces, painting them in shades of gold and red. The beasts at the edge of the plains watched, but did not come near. The fire roared softly, and for the first time, fear gave way to awe. They sat together, whispering as the sparks flew upward into the black sky like stars. The young one fed it gently, learning its hunger. When it was fed too much, it spat. When too little, it died. It breathed like a living thing, needy, wild, beautiful. Over the next days, they carried embers in hollow stones, protecting them as if they were newborns. They learned to keep fire alive, feeding it with wood, bones, and dry grass. With it came light, warmth, and safety. Then came the next revelation. They had always eaten what the hunt gave them raw, tearing at flesh until jaws ached. But one night, a piece of meat fell into the fire. Smoke filled the air, and the scent changed. Richer, softer, inviting, cautious. They tasted it. The tribe watched in silence. The young one smiled. The others followed. And from that night, everything shifted. The fire changed their food, changed their strength. The nights grew shorter, the cold weaker. The beasts grew cautious of the glow that once drew them near. Fire became a companion, a spirit that obeyed no one yet blessed those who respected it. They began to build small piles of stone to cradle it, to protect it from the wind. The young one became keeper of the flame. Seasons passed. The tribe moved again and again, always carrying embers wrapped in ash and leaf, always guarding them with their lives. Once, when rain poured for days, the flame nearly died. The young one sheltered it beneath a hollowed rock, refusing to sleep, breathing gently to keep it alive. When it flickered back to life, the tribe cheered. Fire had become more than survival. It was memory. Children were born who never knew true darkness. Stories began around its glow, stories of how lightning had gifted them the sun. The young one listened to these tales, saying nothing, watching sparks rise like thoughts. Years turned to decades. The young one grew older, the first wrinkles forming from smoke and sun. They watched new hands strike new stones, smaller sparks born each day. What had once been miracle was now knowledge. One evening, a new storm rolled over the plains, lightning cracking again in the distance. The tribe no longer feared it. They looked at the fire in front of them, steady and controlled, and saw themselves reflected in it, no longer hunted, but creators. The young ones sat by the flame, holding out their hand to feel its warmth. They remembered the first spark, the one that had burned for only a heartbeat, but changed the world forever. They smiled. The world no longer ended with darkness. It began with light. The fire hissed softly, and in its glow, the tribe's faces seemed almost human. The young one leaned back, watching sparks climb toward the stars, and whispered a single thought the wind carried away. Now we are alive.